Now, after completing all the CRUD operations for inventory, we'll move on to the next component that we were going to complete for this particular application. We had created two options over here in the dropdown, inventory and customers. So the inventory component is completed with all the CRUD operations. Now we'll move on to the customers component. We'll be creating a new component for this in our code. As of now, if I click on this option, nothing is being displayed except the header that is given in the app.component.html file. So what we'll do is we'll go to the Visual Studio Code and try to create a new component for the customer. I'll just stop the execution. And what I want to do is ng generate component in the app.components folder, where we already have inventory component. I am creating a customers component as well. So you see that the customer component is created over here. This is the HTML file for it, and as of now it is showing customer works. So in the app.component.html file, we want to have a router link for customer as well. We already had for inventory. Now we want to add for customer. Over here in the customer option, I'll be mentioning customer over here, and in the app.component.ts, we also want to import customer component. And over here it's saying add import. I'll save this. After this, in the routes.ts file, what we want to do is we want to give another path. We already have given a path for inventory. Now we want to give the path for customer as well. So this path, the value of this path is going to be the same that we have mentioned over here in the HTML file. So I'll just take this and paste it over here so that there are no differences in the two values. And after that, we have to mention the component that we want to use. So over here, it is going to be customer component. So sometimes the import is just done automatically. I have saved this. And after mentioning the new path, what I want to do is I'll just do an ng serve again so that our application is running. And we'll go to the browser through the link. Okay, now I'm going to the customers option. So you see over here, it says customer works. That means we have successfully added a new component in our application for customer, and we have added the router link for it as well. After this, what we are going to do is take a static HTML template for the customer. I already have it referenced from the Bootstrap, and we'll use it over here. We'll be pasting our static HTML template, and after this I'll just save it to check if the changes are getting reflected in the browser or not. So we have come to our browser and we see over here that now the page is showing the new template. On this page, we see that we have a button to add a new customer. Then pertaining to each of the row, we have edit and delete actions. So now what we'll do is we'll give the functionality for this button first for adding a new customer, because if you see over here in the inventory, we had given the form like this on the inventory page itself, that we could add the new row from here through this form and submit it, right? But in the customers, we have added a little modification. The reason is that you will be able to choose whichever template you want to, and we just have a variation in our application. So now what we want to do is when we are trying to add a new customer, a new pop-up should be shown with the customer form. That is the basic approach that we are going to follow over here. And for that, what we want to do is add a new dialog component in our application. So let's go to the Visual Studio Code, and I'll just stop the execution again. I want to add a new component in the app components. It is going to be customer dialog. So this is what I want to add to this application. This is a new customer dialog box, and over here we have the HTML file for it. Now in this customer dialog box component.html file, we'll be giving the form template for the new customer. I'll be using the one that I have already referenced from the Bootstrap, and let me just paste it over here. Okay, so you see that we have some input controls for customer information, and then we have a add button over here. Let me just save this. Now when should this dialog box open? It should open when we are trying to add a new customer, right? So in this customer.component.html, we have the button. Over here, when we click on this button, it should open customer dialog. This is the function that we want to give in the customer.component.ts. Over here, we are mentioning the function, and for this we'll be using the model service that we had used for inventory.component.html file when we were trying to delete the record. So let me just have a private model service variable created for it, and we are trying to inject ngb model. And for the inject, we want to import the core module. The options would be mentioned over here. Now after this, we want to use our model service to open customer dialog box component. This is what we are trying to achieve. Let me just save it, and let me save here also the changes that we have made for opening the. Okay, let me just give it the name customer, not custom. It, and over here also the name should be customer. Okay, after this, let's just run our application. Okay, go to the URL, and now when we are coming to customers, when we click on this add a new customer button, you see that the dialog box is opening. So this is working perfectly fine, that we are trying to open a new customer form through this button. This is a different approach that we have used to open the customer form. Over here we can enter the information and then click on add. After this, what we'll do is we'll be working on the functionality for this add button that should be saving the new row in our database.